Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Mingles with Jingles, and we're going old school this week. It's just me. No Rita, no Eddie, no cats, unless you hear any of them in the background, which I can't be held responsible for. So I'm still waiting for my new PC to turn up, which isn't really surprising. PCs, video game consoles have been in high demand over the course of the last 6 months or so for reasons that should be pretty obvious. With everyone stuck indoors, there's been quite a high demand for home entertainment. Remember when Rita got herself a Nintendo Switch Lite? I thought, you know what, that seems pretty cool. I'll get myself one of those, or at least I tried. Nobody had them in stock. And everybody who was offering to take money off me for one couldn't guarantee that I'd get one in the next month. It turns out people have had a higher than average amount of spare time on their hands this year, and they've been looking for ways to occupy themselves. So of course, home entertainment, PCs, video game consoles have been in very, very high demand. And of course, PC games publishers have been making money hand over fist as a result, with record profits, which of course explains why those poor dears have been forced to raise the average cost of a AAA PC games title from $60 to $70, because clearly they weren't making all of the money, just most of it. Oh, but Jingles, the base price of a AAA PC games title has been $60 since 2005. Rising development costs, inflation. Yeah, I might have the slightest bit of sympathy for PC games publishers if they actually paid their taxes. Activision Blizzard doesn't. What are you talking about, Jingles? Both Activision and Blizzard are headquartered in California. Obviously, they pay taxes to the US government. No, they don't. They get tax rebates from the US government, but they don't pay taxes to the US government. Activision Blizzard have sold all of their intellectual property rights to a couple of shell companies that they own in Barbados, a tax haven, and Bermuda, another tax haven. These companies then license those intellectual properties to a third part of the organisation based in the Netherlands, which goes by the name of Activision Blizzard International BV, which manages all Activision and Blizzard distribution and rights outside of the US. So the Netherlands-based company does actually generate a taxable profit, but it's only a relatively small and modest taxable profit because it doesn't own the intellectual properties of Activision Blizzard. It simply licenses them from the two shell companies in the tax havens. So most of what it earns has to be paid back in royalties to these two tax shelters. And of course, these massive royalty payments seriously eat into the company's profits, leaving very little that can actually be taxed. For example, in 2017, the Netherlands-based part of this scam reported pre-tax profits of $62.18 million, compared to the $1.45 billion that it paid out in untaxed royalty payments to the two shell companies in Barbados and Bermuda. The Bermuda-based tax haven doesn't have a single employee. It's literally just an address with a telephone number and a bank account, and between 2013 and 2017 it received $5.59 billion in royalty payments from the Dutch end of the scam, none of which were taxed. But it gets worse. In 2018, not only did Activision Blizzard not pay a single cent in taxes in the USA, they claimed $228 million in tax credits. Given that they posted profits of $447 million that year, and those are just the profits that they declared, that means that in 2018, Activision Blizzard paid a tax rate of minus 51%. It's almost like they're a net drain on the American economy. And also don't forget, these are the same scumbags who, right after posting record profits, bleated all over every news outlet who would listen that their games weren't performing to expectations in order to justify laying off more than 700 employees, while at the same time awarding all of their top executives tens of millions of dollars in stock options and performance incentive-based bonuses. So the idea that these poor little snowflakes are so desperate for money that they have to raise the base price of their games from $60 to $70 is just It's just absurd. And I'm not having a go at Activision Blizzard specifically here, they're just one of the more egregious examples. In fact, it was 2K who led the charge with the announcement that NBA 2K21 was going to be priced at $70 on next generation consoles. But trust me, but they're all planning to do it, and all it takes is for NBA 2K21 to turn the slightest bit of a profit, and of course it will because it's an officially licensed NBA franchise game, and suddenly bang, $70 is the new asking price for all AAA, PC and console game titles, although I have no idea why anybody would spend $70. Hell, I have no idea why anybody would spend $1 on NBA 2K21 because it isn't a game. It's just a microtransaction delivery platform for 2K games. But people are stupid. People are quite happy to hand over $70 to 2K games in order to give 2K games the opportunity to sell them microtransactions. Hey, 2K Games, give me some of them microtransactions. Certainly, sir, that'll be one next generation console and $70, please. Ka-ching, shut up and take my money. Right. Now then, sir, which microtransactions would you like? Fucking all of them. Yep, people are stupid. Speaking of stupid people, my new PC. Yeah. As so many of you have taken great delight in pointing out, if I'd only waited, I could have got a new PC with one of the new 3000 series RTX cards. And that's true. But a lot of you seem to be missing the point. You see, here's why I took the plunge in deciding to get a new PC system. A couple of weeks back, my old 1080p 28-inch monitor basically died. So I had to get a new monitor, and I thought, you know what, let's get a 4K monitor. And it's a very, very nice 4K monitor. 4K gaming is really, really nice. But I'm doing that 4K gaming with a 1080 Ti. And a 1080 Ti isn't even a last generation graphics card. By now it's 2 generations old. And I'm still enjoying 4K gaming with it. So I don't actually need a 3000 series RTX card. I mean, sure, if I'd been able to order a system with one, that would have been nice. In fact, I even checked the numbers, and it turns out that if I'd been able to order a system with a 3080 rather than the 2080 Super that I currently have ordered, I would have only had to pay an extra £25. So, absolute bargain. But I can't order a system with the 3080. You can't do that until the 17th of September, which is nearly 2 weeks away. And that doesn't mean I would get a new system on the 17th of September. I probably wouldn't see the new system until the beginning of October at the earliest. Because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, PCs and console gaming systems are in such high demand this year that the lead times for getting them built are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I ordered this new system on the 24th of August. It's now the 7th of September, and it's still in pre-production. They haven't even started assembling the different parts yet. The reason for that is because they're still building all of the systems that were ordered before the 24th of August, and it's the same all across the PC industry. And I can remember one comment where somebody was saying, Jingles, if you'd just waited until tomorrow, you could have gotten yourself a system with a 3080. No, just because Nvidia were announcing the 3000 series the next day doesn't mean they're on sale or available. 3080s aren't available till the 17th of September, and with the lead times, if I'd ordered a system, well, not that I could, because you can't even order one until the 17th of September, but if I'd waited until the 17th to order a system with a 3080 in it, I wouldn't see that system until the middle of October. Other people were saying, oh, Jingles, you must be kicking yourself for getting a system with a 2080 Super in it because the 3070 is cheaper and more powerful. And you're absolutely true. True? Correct? Well, that is absolutely true. You are absolutely correct. But the 3070 isn't available for order until the middle of October. So if I'd waited until then, I wouldn't see the new system until the beginning of November at the earliest. And the thing is, I don't need a system with a 3000 series graphics card in it anyway. I mean, yeah, if they'd been available, sure, I would have ordered one, because it just makes sense. But they weren't available. And I don't need a system for 4K gaming in the middle of October or the middle of November. I'm enjoying 4K gaming right now on my 1080 Ti. I need a system for 4K video rendering, which has absolutely nothing to do with the graphics card that you have. unless the video editing software that they're using is DaVinci. But in every other case, and I'm not using DaVinci, it's all about your processor, the raw speed of the processor, the number of cores that the processor has, and the type and amount of memory that you have. That's why I'm ordering a new PC. It's got nothing to do with playing 4K games. I'm already playing 4K games. It's rendering 4K video that's bringing my current system to its knees. Would I like a system with a 3080 or a 3070 in it? Sure. Am I prepared to wait until the middle of October for a system with a 3080 in it? Or the middle of November for a system with a 3070 in it? Neither of which I actually need for 4K video rendering. Hell no. A couple of you did make some other very sensible suggestions, however, and as a result of which I have amended the system that I've ordered. Originally, I was going with a 2 terabyte M2 solid-state drive and a 2 terabyte hard drive. The idea being that large data files I'd store on the hard drive and the operating system and all my games would go on the solid-state drive, and that's not a terrible idea. But it is a good idea to have a distinct, separate, solid-state drive for your operating system. And the reason for that is because Windows likes to use whatever available space is free on the drive on which it's installed as a cache. So if I start filling that drive up with applications and gaming software, it's going to reduce the size of the cache that's available for Windows. So instead, I've taken your advice, and now I'm going with a 500 gigabyte SSD purely for Windows and the Windows cache, a 2 terabyte SSD for all of my games and software, and a 2 terabyte hard drive, which is where I'm going to be storing all of the raw video that I'm going to be editing. So that should be more than enough for all of my 4K video processing needs. And who knows, with a 2 terabyte M2 Samsung Evo SSD, I might even be able to get acceptable performance out of Star Citizen. Because I tried playing Star Citizen a couple of months ago. I thought, it's been a long time since I had a go. Let's see what's changed. And the only thing that had changed was that suddenly it was like watching a slideshow. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. At times, I managed to get as much as 5 or 7 frames per second. Even the music was stuttering. I mean, and this is on the same system that I was using to have a go of Star Citizen last year and the year before and the year before, and was easily managing 30 frames per second. So in a year of development since the last time I took a look at Star Citizen, they've managed to make it worse. Good job, Chris Roberts. It's really nice to know that you haven't completely wasted all of that crowdfunding money. I can't wait till I get my new system, install it on the SSD, and maybe, possibly, manage to get the same levels of performance that I was enjoying 4 years ago. Good job. Speaking of games that look awesome when played in 4K or even 1440p, there's a new Humble bundle out. It's called the Humble Super Simulation Bundle. For $1, you get Treasure Hunter Simulator and 9/11 Operator. Beat the average price, and you also get Radio Commander, which is a Vietnam War strategy game where you control your troops purely by giving orders over the radio. I've actually played it. It's not bad. Beating the average price also gets you Hunter Call of the Wild, the French Revolutionary War Tale, We the Revolution, never heard of it. But you also get Elite Dangerous, which isn't bad, considering it's currently going for $30 on Steam. If you top out the bundle by paying $15 or more, you also get PC Building Simulator, which apparently is pretty good, although I haven't played it. It's getting very, very good reviews. And the Hunter Call of the Wild Silver Ridge Peak expansion. So if all you're really interested in is PC Building Simulator and Elite Dangerous, both of which you can get on Steam for the combined price of, I think, $50, $15 for both of them and a whole bunch of other games, some of which you might actually like, is not a bad deal. Meanwhile, CD Projekt Red are up to their old tricks again, and we're not talking for once about Cyberpunk 2077. I think that might be the first time in, at least a couple of months that I've mentioned the name of the new Cyberpunk game and actually gotten it completely right by not calling it Cyberpunk 2020, which was the pen and paper role-playing game that I played when I was a kid, or Cyberpunk 2070. But we're not talking about that game. We're talking about The Witcher 3, which marked its 5th anniversary this year. and yet it still looks as if it could have come out in 2020. It is missing some of the latest bells and whistles though, and there's a new generation of consoles coming out soon. So CD Projekt Red are working on a new edition of The Witcher 3, which is in development for PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X, with visual and technical improvements like ray tracing, faster loading times, but it's a complete edition with the improvements extending to all of the DLC and expansions. And here's the kicker. Because if you already own The Witcher 3 on Xbox, PlayStation 4 or PC, you get the new Enhanced Edition as a free upgrade. That's right. They're not charging you a penny for it. Now, of course, you're going to need a GPU that supports ray tracing and probably a solid-state drive to take advantage of the faster loading times, but still, that's one hell of a free upgrade. And don't forget, CD Projekt Red are pretty much doing the same thing for Cyberpunk 2077 as well, which is probably coming out in advance of the next generation consoles, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. So if you have a current generation Xbox or PlayStation, you can buy Cyberpunk 2077 and then continue to play it for no additional charge on your next generation console if and when you decide to upgrade. CD Projekt Red's philosophy being that since you've already paid for the game, why should you have to pay for it again just because you've changed the console on which you're playing it? And that is just amazing. And it's pretty much what we've come to expect from CD Projekt Red, which is of course in stark contrast to what those chuckleheads over at Activision Blizzard are doing with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Oh, what a surprise, said absolutely nobody at the news that if you buy Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War for current generation consoles and you want to play it on your next generation console, you're going to have to pay Activision Blizzard for the privilege. So that's kind of shitty. But the reality is even worse than you might have at first thought. So I'm quoting from the Eurogamer article on this subject here. Because you see, as well as the standard current generation console edition of the game, there's also a cross-generation bundle, which naturally costs more than the current generation version of the game. And here's where things start getting complicated. So, quoting from Eurogamer. Both the PlayStation and Microsoft stores price the cross-gen bundle at $64.99, which is UK currency, compared to the standard current-gen edition, which costs $59.99. Buying the digital standard edition means you can later upgrade to the PS5 or Xbox Series X version through either the PlayStation Store or the Microsoft Store, which will cost you the difference. When it comes to the physical editions, however, things get a little more complicated. The standard physical PS4 version will be upgradable to the PS5 version through the PlayStation Store for a fee. The standard physical Xbox One version, however, cannot be upgraded to the Xbox Series X version, so you'll have to buy the more expensive physical next-gen edition as well. If you wanted to do so, you could buy the next-gen physical edition of Cold War on Xbox Series X and then play it on Xbox One. But the physical PlayStation 5 Next Gen Edition will only work on PlayStation 5 and not PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 5, of course, is coming with a discless digital version that makes things kind of tricky for current generation buyers. Don't forget that the PlayStation 5 is going to be available in two versions, one that actually has a disc drive and one that doesn't and is digital only. So, if you were to buy the standard physical edition now for PlayStation 4, would you be able to upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version of Cold War if you bought the digital-only PlayStation 5 console? No, because the standard PlayStation 4 physical disc of Cold War must be inserted into a PlayStation 5 disc drive in order for the next-gen upgrade that you've paid for to work. And if you buy the PlayStation 5 that doesn't have a disc drive, you can't actually play the game that you've just paid for. So you've wasted the money on the upgrade, and if you want to play it, you have to go out and buy the digital next-gen version of the game in its entirety. So you've all got that, yeah? That was nice and simple and easy to understand, wasn't it? About as simple and easy to understand as the pricing policy on the various different digital penultimate gold standard deluxe versions of whichever game Electronic Arts is pushing out next. Of course, the solution in both cases is exactly the same. Just don't buy the bloody thing in the first place. Anyway, that about wraps things up for this week. Once again, thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon. Thanks to you guys. Mingles with Jingles is 100% advert free every week, unless I've accidentally managed to slip some music in there and some record company monetizes the whole video for me. But thank you very much to everybody who does support me on Patreon, as well as everybody who has taken out a subscription to watch these videos ad-free every day on Floatplane. And also, thank you to everybody who stuck around to watch until the end of the video. Apparently that really helps with the YouTube algorithm, or well, I don't know. But thank you anyway. And I hope you all enjoyed it, because that is it. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.